fellow builders, and welcome back to the bench. Mediocre Molly here, ready to start a new project. This one, if you can't tell from the intro, I think it's going to be a little bit interesting. We're going to work on a ship that never was. So if you're unfamiliar with Space 1999, if you're watching me, I'm pretty sure you probably are. But the premise is that I think they're storing nuclear material on, like nuclear waste on the moon. Some accident happens, and then the nuclear blast is enough to where it throws the moon out of Earth's orbit. And so we spend the next season following them on their adventures as the Earth slowly moves away from the moon, moves slowly away from the Earth. I don't think we ever really they don't ever really talk about, well, what happens to the Earth, because the two prevailing questions are, what happens if the moon leaves Earth's orbit, and can the humans survive? Did a quick Google check, and this is what it had to say. And here's our answer. If the moon left Earth's orbit, it would cause immediate, catastrophic environmental, ecological, and astronomical consequences. Tidal activity would drop by roughly 70%, severely disrupting marine ecosystems. Long term, the Earth's axis would become unstable, causing extreme, unpredictable seasonal climate shifts, potential ice age, and significantly darker, quieter nights. But wait, there's more. The second half of the questions: can humans survive? Here's the answer. No, humanity likely couldn't survive long without the moon, because its gravitational influences stabilize Earth's axial tilt, preventing extreme climate swings, and its tidal forces are crucial for ocean mixing and nutrient cycles that support marine life, all of which would be severely disrupted, leading to catastrophic weather, barren oceans, and uninhabitable conditions. While humans might adapt initially, the long-term ecological collapse and dramatic climate shifts would make Earth inhospitable. Now, it's not going to be all gloom and doom. That's the scenario for if that happened to us right now. But we're talking about their timeline. And in their timeline, if they've got enough technology to inhabit the moon, then they could survive. They'd figure it out. We're hoping they would. They didn't talk about it. So this is all going to be my own headcanon. So using their timeline, they would use the Eagle to do everything that they needed to get done. In the very first episode, you see several different variants of the Eagle. The front and the back of the Eagle, we're going to leave the same. This is a smaller model, but it's already together. So this is the section that's going to be modified, and is modified in all the different ones. In the passenger, it's just white. In the rescue, you have the red stripes, which if you look at my opening, there's a picture of a rescue eagle. That's actually my model overlaid over the picture in the intro of the show. Then you've got the VIP version where this is orange. Then there's the lab one, which has the bulged out sides on it. And then there's a laser tank version. There was one episode where you see kind of a battle eagle. It's called the Hawk. And I'll put a picture of it up, like right there. Yeah, we'll put one up there. But other than that, you don't ever see any kind of attack. in any time attack or defense variant. And that's what we're going for. We're going for the moon has been ripped away. So everyone on Earth, the governments on the Earth, are now fighting for their survival. And they need to protect their resources. They're going to protect their resources by battling over them. Yeah, I know. It doesn't make much sense. But that's what we're going to go with. And I thought this transport is about the right size to be kind of like a gunship. So I'm thinking like a C-130 gunship. So that's what we're going to do. But the first thing we have to do is get the front and the back built so we can work on how big, wide, what shape we want the center section for our gunship to be. So I'm going to get that done first.
Bring the rain!
Well, if this kit looks a little bit wonky, there's a reason behind that. It was a rescue. I went to a model auction, and this was one of the few sci-fi kits that was in the lot. This is a 1975 release of a Fun Dimensions model kit. Very basic. I mean, the shapes are... This is a plastic shaped model of a spaceship. Not accurate in any... It's fairly accurate. It's accurate enough for what I'm doing. But once I get it together, I just need to make the center section. I need to measure how wide do I want it for my gun turrets and everything else that I think I want to add. I have an idea of what I want it to look like. But those parts are going to have to be 3D printed, of course. So from here we go to Fusion 360. Not very exciting. Here's the center section. And what I've done is I've just made a block where the normal center section is halved. And this is the same width. And what I'll do is glue the half pieces on either end. I've got these 3 holes here for magnets. I'm going to put magnets in there. Okay. The magnets are going to attach to this piece here, which is going to go up into that rail structure. Let's get rid of the origin and come up here like that. Yes. So they'll line up, and this will fit inside that top rail of the Eagle. And then we get to the business end of things. The turrets themselves. So I wasn't sure. I knew I didn't want to put one big turret on the back because I wanted this to be, I figured it would have to be getting attacked from all, it would need to protect itself from all sides. So I was going to take the smaller Eagle, the engine pods, and make that into turrets. And I thought, I could just design these in Fusion 360 because I hate to cut up a model like that for I do and I don't, but this is what I came up with. So I want to put these on top. I like the double. I'm not sure if they're going to be one on either side or 2 on either side. That way you can fire forward and backward. And then on the side, oh, come on, there you go. Sticking out of the side of that center pod are going to be definitely for these. There's a rail that sits along the side that these were designed to fit right into on either side of that habitat pod. My thought process being is this would be more like a command module that, you could fly it around and get an area under control. Then they could land it, drop it, and then they could do their combat strategies from this location. So let's see what it looks like 3D printed. Okay, so here we are. Here's our center block with our magnets in there for the mounting up in the rail. And these four, well, I had four. One got rubbed off, but this is going to be the location of the turrets. You've got the side turrets, the little side turrets, right? And they go right there like that. So they'll fit very nicely. So you'll have two on either side. And then we have our main turrets. Look at it. Look at it. Isn't it beautiful? I'm just going to say, the 3D printer is not a replicator. But it is. Because you go from this shape in your head to a computer screen. And then a couple hours later, you're holding it. This is just freaking amazing. But when I designed it, I had an idea. I was just going to drill a hole, stick it. It was designed with a little nub on the bottom. I was just sticking on there. But I always want to give it that little bit extra. Because if I just glued it down, if I had glued it with a long post, then I could, put it in whatever direction I wanted it. But I didn't really design it that way. So what I had to do, luckily, the size of the nub was good enough to fit on this rod. And so we're going to telescope it, right? So now we can pew 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 pew. But lasers don't make sound. There's no guarantee it's a laser. We don't know, because again, we're thinking this is terrestrial. This isn't in space. This is back on Earth. And I wanted it to be a heavy type cruiser, so we're gonna get all these pieces together. I'm gonna go ahead and get this drilled out. And right now, honestly, I'm just very apprehensive. I'm not feeling good because things aren't level and things are different colors, and it's that magic that you got to get to of that first primer coat. Once everything's the same color, you're going, okay, we've got something here. But I'm not feeling it yet. So let me go and get this a little bit up to snuff, a little bit better. Oh, also, I wanted this to be a command module that they could bring in and they could land it, and then the Eagle could fly off. And I've got several different ideas. If you had, maybe there's a connector ring to where they can go get another one. So you drop the one pod to get an area cleared, and they bring another pod next to it, and so they have a bigger command area. It could be a troop transport as well in there. It needs to be big for handling ammo, whatever. But it's going to need some landing feet. And for the landing feet, I was going to rob these landing feet that normally come with the Millennium Falcon model. I got a lot of extra greelies. Just don't ask. But that was the idea. So, and then there's the idea of, since it's much heavier, it's going to slow it down moving terrestrially. So I was thinking it possibly needed some rockets on some more rocket power on the top rail. But let's get this up to snuff, and then we'll visit again. Let's just get some holes drilled and some of the things that we need to get done on this to make it feel a little bit more finished. And then we'll talk again. Okay, so from time to time, I get really on top of things, and I feel like this came together real well. Realistically, all I really did was I made it wider and I added turrets to it. Color choice was, I struggled with it, and there's no weathering, it's just design. We're in the design phase, so look at that. our turret's turn, giving us full coverage front and rear, and when it's on the ground, it can cover, and that's good. But what really made me excited was the Eagle itself. And I really think this came out well. Granted, it's basically just the Eagle, but I added, instead of, on the lab version, you have rockets, but this is terrestrial. And so I went through my boxes of odds and sorts and found these are A10 engines. I disassembled it to do something else, and like I said, I never throw anything away. And this is what I came up with, because you would figure it doesn't need rockets in terrestrially, it needs jet engines. So trying to figure out where on this framework it's gonna go. Realistically, it could go anywhere along. I was thinking about moving it a little bit further back, but again, that's where the rockets were on the lab version. So if you marry these two together, front, right? You get this beast. That is, granted, still need to go back through. It needs some weathering. I need to do a clear coat and just and then I need to find some appropriate decals for it. But I think this thing looks fantastic. But like I said, I still feel it's missing something, and I'm not quite sure what. So I'm gonna have to do a weathering pass, but I need to think about it. But again, just off the line, concept wise, I think this thing is just fantastic. Like I said, I still feel like it's missing something. It definitely needs a little bit of decaling, because even like the gunship, the C-130 gunship has tail markings or something, or even tank models. They just have just subtle markings here and there. It is a military vehicle, so I've just gone through my decal sheets to try and find some ones that I could possibly use, something that's nondescript, but definitely something I could use. The other thing that, when I first started this, I knew I wanted to do a gunship, and somewhere along the line, planes have names, like the C-130 gunship, they call it's called the Spooky, or the B-52 is the buff, big ugly fat fellow. The A10 Warthog, and this one needed a name, and I wanted to keep it in that predator bird realm. Somewhere along the line, since it was going to be so big, Condor fit. It just like, oh, and then I tried to go in and like, oh, Condor, so command, ordnance, neutralization, defense, and I got to the R and I couldn't figure out an R. So I just dropped it. We're just going to leave it at the Condor for the moment. But again, it's one that I think I'm going to have to sit and think about a little bit longer, because it needs some weathering and needs some. It's just missing something. But I have fun building it. I have fun designing it, and I think that's where most of the work that I enjoy is in design. When we get down to this phase, when it's just those final touches, I sometimes lose focus, lose a little bit of interest. So we're gonna just let it sit on the shelf with the other models and breathe until we can come up with it. It may even need a diorama to go with it to help explain what else is going on there. But in the meantime, it's time for you to go build something. So go do that. And we'll figure out what's next up on the agenda. I've got an idea. But until then, have fun, be safe, and go build something. Pew 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 pew.